Hey guys, greetings from China. I'm Lizard. So it's Friday here in Guangzhou, just past 12 o'clock. My lunch just arrived. So right now I'm sitting in my living room ready to dig in. But I'm making this video because I want to share with you guys what I'm eating today. Just like last time, right? Last time I made a video where I shared what I ate on a random Monday. So if you watched it, you know I ate some very cheap Chinese burgers, which were not very appealing, to be honest. But this time, I'm actually gonna eat something more proper. So yeah, let's take a look. Here it is. I got some fried spaghetti with black pepper and onions. And on this side, I got roast chicken, a fried egg, and some vegetables. So take a guess, how much is this meal? This meal here cost me 27 RMB, so a little less than $4, which may not sound like a lot, but to me, it's already, past the 20 RMB ballpark. So it's actually like a luxury lunch for me, and I can't afford to eat this every day. So it's very, occasional. So yeah, the spaghetti looks very nice. Yeah, it's getting a little cold because I took a lot of time filming the intro for this video. Yeah. So let's take a look at a fried egg. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm actually gonna dig in now, and it's gonna be hard for me to film while I eat. So yeah, I'm gonna pause the video here, and after I finish eating, I'm gonna maybe talk about something else. Yeah. So I want to share with you guys an insight I got from my work experiences, which can kind of explain why I'm not a fan of working full-time here in China, whether it's like a corporate setting or in the public sector, because I've experienced both. So I've worked for a public psychiatric hospital and a couple of private education companies, and everywhere I went to, the people in charge always gave me a feeling that everything in the organization was done for the sake of their own self-interests, which is money and maybe status as well. And I'm specifically talking about people in the management level or higher up. I'm talking about those managers, directors. Of course, I'm not saying everyone, but just in my experience, the majority of them share these self-centered characteristics. And you would think that these people who devote their life to the field of mental health or education would genuinely care about what they're doing, right? Because they mostly work with patients or students. But I often find that to be the opposite, that they're doing it to make more money. Let me give you an example. When I was working in that hospital, I had this director. She would often do side hustles, like she would do counseling and psychotherapy, even though those were not her main job. And like she usually got off work at 5, but she would do counseling and therapy until like 10 p.m. well into the night. I don't think she did it because she wanted to help people. Let me tell you how much she made, like per hour, doing therapy. She made more than 1,000 RMB. I know she's offering a service, right? But just for reference, an average worker in China probably earns from 20 to 40 RMB an hour. And even when we're talking about therapy, the usual price is like 400, 500 an hour. And only those who are at the top of the field get to charge over 1,000. Like even 400 an hour is a price that the average Chinese family can afford. So when you consider how prevalent mood disorders are among adolescents and young adults, and you see the price being this way, and it also in China, psychotherapy and counseling is never a part of your healthcare plan. So it's not going to be covered by the government. You have to pay those out of your own pocket. And that's why many people just resort to taking medicines, you know, antidepressants, things like that, without ever receiving the therapy that they truly need. And sometimes I would even argue that the only thing they need is some counseling. But a lot of the doctors just put them straight to drugs for children as young as like 12 years old, 14 years old. Like without even a blink of an eye, they would just subject these young people to psychotropic drugs. And it's so messed up in my opinion, but psychiatry is like a huge topic, and I'm not gonna get into too much detail here because a lot of the things are still controversial. So yeah, getting back to the topic, like if she could make 1,000 RMB an hour, of course she would love to do it, right? And when I was there, I often went into her clinic during her workday, right? Her clinic is where she would see patients who were mostly adolescents having emotional problems. A lot of times when I walk in her office, I would see her, being rude or very cold to the kids. Like she would brush off their problems like it's nothing. And sometimes she would even threaten the kids. Like for example, there was a kid who was like around 14 years old, and she didn't want to go to school, right? Because she was having some trouble at school, and also her relationship with her parent was not very good. And then I heard my director said to her, if you don't want to go to school, I'm gonna have to send you to a place that's like a concentration camp here. Because in China, we have this huge industry where parents send their children to reform. They call it behavioral correction center, but it's not backed up by professional personnel. Like they're mostly private businesses operated by people who have absolutely no experience in education, mental health, psychology, social work, whatsoever. There are a whole bunch of horror stories each year coming out of these institutions, and the government does nothing to punish them. And these type of organizations, these type of private businesses are making money by the millions year after year with no repercussions. Like even 2 days ago, I saw someone who just escaped such an institution post a video on a domestic platform accusing the horrendous acts that the people from the centers imposed on children and adolescents. But as far as I know, nothing is being done and nothing will be done because a lot of the owners of these kind of centers have connection with government officials. So of course they're not gonna punish them, right? And this is just so messed up. And yeah, so getting back on track, yeah, my director, of course, she was not always rude and impatient, but I've seen it more than a few times. And it just felt so wrong to me that someone who claimed to be um, a licensed therapist and someone who's been working in the field for so long still treat people depending on her own mood. And if someone who's at the top of the industry is like this, then what does it tells me or tells the society about the whole sector, right? And yeah, I just felt so disillusioned, and that's why I eventually quit the field and went on to pursue a career in education. But the same thing happened. Those people in the high ranks always become reduced to a few traits that dehumanize them in a way. And I'm probably being a little overly dramatic, but it's how I genuinely feel, and I just like being honest, and I feel like I have to get it off my chest in some way. Like when I'm working as a teacher in those private companies, I always felt that, the teachers are always, at the bottom of the hierarchy. And those that are higher up just like to shift every blame onto teachers and put every responsibility onto teacher. And whenever something bad happens, it's always the teachers that take the blow first. And it just felt so unfair to me because, most teachers are very genuine people, very kind-hearted, very passionate about what they're doing. But those people who are money oriented like to take advantage of this and, exploit a lot of the teachers, making them work extremely long hours for minimal compensation. And, the list goes on. Like I have multiple instances where I directly went against the will of my manager, which eventually led to me being fired in one of those places. And yeah, one thing you get to see after working a few jobs is that, at least here in China, the most valuable quality in the eyes of the elite or the managers is obedience. Talent doesn't matter, personality doesn't matter that much. If you're obedient enough, your place is secured. If you have your own thoughts, your own thinking about how to tackle a problem, how to go about a situation, even though your solution might be the best choice or like more efficient, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, your superior has the say. And a lot of them are so egoistic that, maybe they just enjoy power tripping or something. I had one colleague in my last job. Her credentials and her ability were like one of a kind in the field. I would argue that she was probably the best employee in my department. But she actually went through a very similar experience just because she wasn't obedient enough. She didn't listen to every instruction her superior gave her. Me and her share the same superior, and we both got fired at around the same time period. And yeah, the rest is history. So after experiencing all this, what I've learned is that as long as there's money involved, everything eventually becomes money centered. And especially in a corporate setting, right? The bottom line of a corporation is shareholder interests, right? So everything you do in there has to align with the interests of the owners. Like forget about education, right? They do it in the name of education, but they don't really care about it. As long as they get paid from the people seeking help, seeking their service, it doesn't matter what happened to those people. That's what I've learned. And I know it may sound a bit over exaggerated, but that's my genuine feeling. And I know some of my colleagues share the same understanding. So yeah, that's why I'm just disappointed with the work culture being the way it is. But still, I'm trying to stay positive. I still want to work towards something. I still want to make a living while doing things I personally believe it's meaningful. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now because I don't think I'm really making sense. With my current English level, it's very hard to take on issues like this. But I still want to try. So that's it. This is the video. I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.